I'm Jennifer Ho, the Commissioner at Minnesota Housing, and welcome to another edition of Mobile Minnesota Housing. This week, we were up in Duluth, and we had an opportunity to make 3 stops. The first one was at the American Indian Community Housing Organization, where we had an opportunity to tour their amazing facility that includes permanent supportive housing for families, but a whole bunch of community resources, and all grounded in really beautiful art. We sat with their leadership team, and here's an opportunity for you to hear from their executive director, Michelle LeBeau.
You know, I think one of the outcomes that we didn't even plan for is that because we opened the doors to the community, we have so many different cultural events here that everyone is welcome to attend, that it really has created a bridge between the Indigenous community and the rest of the community here in Duluth. And that was something that was very, very needed. Duluth struggles with racism, and there really has never been a place that people could go to and see Indigenous culture the way that they can when they come into Kamaji.
After that, we had an opportunity to go to Family Rise Together. This is a nonprofit focused on working with African American families in the Duluth area, especially on reunification for dads that are coming out of prison, to help them really get to spend time with their kids. They're kind of venturing into the world of housing, starting with some DHS housing support programs. But I expect, based on the conversation that we had with Jaquana, their executive director, that they're going to be in the Minnesota housing queue someday, helping build housing for dads and families in the Duluth area. Really, really fantastic visit. And then the third stop was at the grand opening of Decker Dwellings. This is an amazing housing program targeted at families, many of them working families, some of them families that have been homeless, have a disability. It was great to see families coming and going from the building as the developers, the many, many people who were involved in the creation of this, and the local electeds gathered to celebrate the opening. Let's hear from a couple of the local electeds.
Absolutely. We have so many more people who are struggling with housing than a year ago, than 2 years ago. It's starting to get cold. It will snow soon. We now have 42 households that have a place to call home. And I know many of them did not have a place before. They were living outside. They were couch surfing. They were sleeping in cars. This is not a climate for that. That's not right. That's not kind. That's not what we do in Minnesota. So it feels wonderful to know that just a few more families have the kind of certainty that we all deserve.
We saw with a mom and her child walking by, and I was talking to some of the advocates that work for unsheltered youth and talking about how they're going to be moving someone in as part of a family unit this week, and just like the hope it brings them and the hope it brings me to know that we actually can do something about it. That's what is the beauty of this kind of work, is like we actually can make an impact when we open buildings like this, and especially as winter looms and we know this pandemic has been really difficult, that there are tools we have to really have an impact, and the opening of this building today was really remarkable.
You know, it's so great to have the opportunity to get out in the field and to be able to really listen to the folks that are trying to serve people who have been having a rough time before the pandemic, people who have been having a rough time during the pandemic, communities that are overrepresented in populations experiencing homelessness, populations that are severely cost burdened, people who are at the mercy of a really tough rental market and a tough economy. Just to be able to sit with folks that are committed to doing that work and who partner with Minnesota Housing or hope to partner with Minnesota Housing in order to make more housing available. There's so much need in that area. So glad to be out on the road and glad to be able to share a little bit of it with you. All right, thanks. Take care.